In this video, I'm going to be showing you the fastest way, literally the fastest way to 3x your ad spend profitably and scale Facebook ads in 2025. And just as a note, this is for e-com brands that are above 100K a month. So you need to be already doing consistent volume and have a good business model to be able to apply what I'm going to teach you in this video. But if you clicked on this with the goal of learning how to scale your Facebook ad account, or you just can't seem to, feels like every time you increase the budget, the return on ad spend falls off a fucking cliff, then this is the perfect video for you. So make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to show you the exact campaign structure, the exact setup that I use, the exact decision-making matrix that I use to scale and pull back budget, and literally just give you the entire blueprint so you can do what I've achieved for this brand using this exact setup. So really quick, just kind of want to dive into some of the specifics here of the results we were able to achieve. As you can see, I am not using hyperbole. We literally increased this brand's spend month on month by 300% from 78,000 to 323,000 in spend. So we spent about 250K more. And you're probably wondering, you better have done well with that spend, otherwise you'd be screwed. And you'd be right to assume that. And we drove 260% more purchases. So we went from 1,300 to almost 5,000 purchases the next month. And then we also drove an extra $380,000 in purchase conversion value, or 225%. So literally 3x their ad spend. And as you can see, there's only one campaign, and that is a little bit of a preview as to what's to come in this video. But guys, it is so much simpler than you think. So let's not waste any more time. I'm going to teach you how to scale your Facebook ads account in 2025. And before we dive in, if you want me to run your ads for you and help you achieve the results like you see on the screen right here, and you'd rather offload the marketing and have someone scale your ad account for you, hit the first link in the description. I have just opened up spots for my one-to-one client program. So hit the first link in the description if you'd rather have me do it for you one-on-one and take this all off your plate. But if not, stick around for the next 10 minutes so I can teach you exactly how I did it, because it's a lot easier than you think. So again, 3x the ad spend. How did we do it? Now, it's very important to define what we're trying to do, because if you want to do something, it's important you know what it is you're trying to do. And I got that from Sam Evans. So a lot of people think that they have a scaling problem when in actuality, they usually have a business problem. And scaling is literally just getting more volume of what's working until it stops working. And then once it stops working, you test new things to make it work again, and then you scale again. And most brands think they have a scaling problem when they have business problems. And Facebook simply amplifies your business model. And the truth of the matter is, if Facebook ads aren't scaling, you have a business problem. So scaling is literally just a matter of how much volume you're getting. So if we want to scale, we have to have winning business conditions to begin with. And most of the times, the whole TLDR of this is most of the times brands don't have the kind of business conditions they need to actually scale their ad account, right? They have a 100K per month business. They don't yet have $1 million per month business. So all of these videos that you see from all these talking heads, all these gurus, myself included, so take everything I say with a grain of salt until you test it, are really just ways for you to actually treat the cause, not the effect. You're putting a Band-Aid every time you watch a new creative testing setup video or a new cost control setup video. All you're doing is treating the cause and not the effect, right? The methods are Band-Aids, and they're not going to fix the root cause of the issue, which is your business model. And if you approach Facebook ads from this paradigm of when they're not scaling, it's typically a problem with your business, then that allows you to really see things from the lens of the business rather than just trying to fix everything in the ad account. So I have a quick example here to demonstrate this point further. And when we're trying to increase ad spend, hopefully the reason why you're trying to scale is because, again, you want what? You want, going back up here, you want more volume of what's working, or you want more volume of profit. So when you are scaling, ideally your ad spend is increasing so that you can increase your ROI from ads. So ideally, when you're increasing spend, your ROI from ads is also increasing. The total volume of dollars of profit should be going up with respect to the ad spend increasing as well. Now, the problem is, so in this example, I'm at $1,000 a day, and the ad spend here matches the ROI that I want from my ads. It's hitting my target, essentially, when these two things are aligned. Perfect. Now, what happens in most cases is if this binary here was a perfect corollary relationship, then as ad spend increases, so too does the ROI from ad spend. As you guys know, watching this, there's probably a point where you're scaling and it works to a certain degree, right? You're increasing your ad spend. The ROI from your ads is going up. You're generating a higher volume of net profit as you increase ad spend. And then eventually you get to a certain level of spend where all of a sudden, as you increase ad spend, the ROI from ads actually stagnates. And as you increase ad spend, you'll also notice at a certain point, your ROI from ads will actually go down. So as your ad spend is increasing, your ROI is either stagnating or in some cases decreasing. And the discrepancy between the volume of spend and the ROI grows so much such that you have to reduce your ad spend back down. And you drop your ad spend all the way back down so that you can recoup the ROI from ads. And then you invariably have to drop your ad spend down so that you can get back to the same ROI that you had. And then you end up watching a video like this, which is how to scale my Facebook ads. So if we want to scale our Facebook ads account, what we have to do obviously is to increase the spend. But we also want to make sure that the increasing spend is leading to a magnification or an increase in the volume of the ROI from our ads. And what we need to do then is essentially the only way to figure out if you can scale is to actually go for it, right? You're never going to know what your account is going to perform like at $3,000 a day until you actually push it to that budget. So what you have to do in your ad account is design it in such a way where you can very easily and effectively modulate the spend and amplify the entirety of the ad account, limiting as many unproven and uncontrolled variables as possible, such that spend becomes the primary variable that you're manipulating to get a difference in the performance from your ads. So we're going to show you how to set up the account so you can do that. But essentially, we want to scale our ad account and continue increasing spend until we see that point of diminishing return, until we see and identify the point at which once we go past that point, the ROI from ads does not follow suit. And then from there, we reduce the spend back down to that optimal level of ad spend and profitability. And then from there, within this, whatever that daily spend is, that's when you begin testing to create new business conditions or new conditions in the ad account that are going to allow you to scale further. So this is the point at which you should be testing new creatives, testing new offers, testing new ad copy, new landing pages, and basically trying to figure out what is causing the point of diminishing return to occur. What exactly is causing you to not be able to increase the spend and see the ROI from ads follow suit? And that is basically the purpose of testing in any ad account, is to improve the efficiency, right? So once it stops working, you test new things to make it work again. And that's really the purpose of creative testing, is to improve the efficiency of the ad account so we can spend more. That is literally it. So in short, scaling is so easy when you set up the account in a way that allows you to control it in this way, where we increase spend. And as we increase spend, ROI from ads should be going up. The second it stops going up relative to spend, right? The second it stops going up relative to the spend, we reduce it back down to the best known point of profitability and volume. And then from there, we keep testing. As we test, that is going to enable us to then test out spending more. And then that should enable us, eventually there will be a certain creative or a certain offer or a certain angle that will allow you to continue increasing spend, where you will see the ROI from ads follow suit. So how do you actually set up your ad account to be the most conducive to being able to see a direct causal relationship between spend and ROI from ads? And the easiest way to do this is by setting it up in this structure. And as you saw from the campaign that tripled its ad spend, or how we were able to scale that account and triple it literally in a single month, is by setting it up in this setup down here. So we're using CBO, testing and scaling in one campaign. We're looking at net profit EBITDA, and we're using broad targeting. And the problem with using the traditional methods of ABO, where you have testing and scaling campaigns, you're looking at ROAS, you're using interest. And this is not to be, this graphic here is really not to be demeaning in any way or be really like hurtful or I guess mean to anyone that, patronizing to anyone that uses ABO, testing and scaling, and ROAS and interests. But the reason why I draw this parallel between this meme is because this is essentially when you're running in this setup up here, when you're running ABO, testing and scaling, this is you assuming that you know more than Meta. And this is your brain, or our brains, right? And this is essentially Meta's brain, right? It has trillions of data points. It knows everything there is to know about what a person is doing, what types of things they like, what they're most likely to buy. And it's calculating trillions and trillions and trillions of data points to make predictions about whether or not a customer is most likely to buy. And when you use and set up your account in an ABO setup and you have testing and scaling campaigns, you're essentially saying and operating from the paradigm that my decision-making framework is more effective at predicting customer behavior than the Meta AI algorithm, which, by the way, has hundreds of salaried engineers, some of the most talented engineers on the back end, designing this thing to drive conversions from people on social media. Has the most talented engineers, and using ABO and testing and scaling is essentially you coming in and saying, you know what? I know more than those people. My ability to predict customer behavior and looking at what people say was like, oh, if it gets 3 purchases, it's a winner. My criteria for what makes a winning ad trumps what Meta's algorithm, produced by its hundreds of talented engineers, some of the top engineers in the world. My decision-making framework trumps that. And the sad reality is that it doesn't. You will not beat the algorithm. You will not beat AI. And the only reason, if you're using and you've tried optimize or you've tried, consolidated setups and CBO campaign setups in the past and they haven't worked, is probably because your ads and your business aren't as good as you think it is. Sorry. So what you want to do is set up the account such that, again, going back to this example, all I need to do to scale is just increase the spend through that one campaign. I don't need to worry about increasing spend on this one winner versus this winner. How much should I go? If one campaign's at 200 and one's at 500, do I bump this one up to 300 and one up to 400? It's like, no. I have a campaign at 5,000. If things are going well, I bump it to 10,000. And then I close my laptop and I'm done for the day because I'm doing all the work on the back end to make that decision, to make that be the decision that makes the highest impact, rather than just trying to make all these massive predictions from very limited data points and assume that my decision-making framework for determining whether or not an ad is better at converting a customer is better than Meta's. So going back to the campaign up above here, which is just literally one campaign and then increasing that spend every single day. And we scroll back down, before we get into the actual setup, running the CBO campaign is basically like this big chunk of ad spend here. And running an ABO campaign setup would basically be like running a bunch of these smaller, like these. I just paused it just because it was so hard to talk and draw at the same time. But essentially, you can kind of see just from a physics standpoint, when I'm running an ABO setup, right? If we define scale to be amplifying and getting more volume of what's working until it stops working, right? Then the easiest way to scale would be to make it such that what's working becomes so stupidly obvious that I know exactly what I need to increase on to get more volume through what's working, right? And that's what CBO allows us to do. We have one campaign, we have one ROI from ads, right? One ROI that we track. Now, conversely, when we do ABO, and the people running ABO are not running 5 campaigns and 5 ad sets. They're running 15, 20, 25 campaigns, 50 plus ad sets, 100 plus ads. And unless you are a crazy talented data scientist and you can track the ROI from every single individual ad set, then this is basically going to be your life. And if you have to make a decision, if you want to scale more of what's working, how in the hell are you going to decide? Like, what are you going to, let's say you want to increase your budget 20%. Where do I go? Do I start here first, or do I start here because it's spending the least, or maybe in the middle because those need to catch up to this one? It's like now you introduce all this really crazy complex decision making when the most efficient and most optimal accounts in the world, like the one I just showed you at the beginning of this video, operate from this paradigm such that if I want to increase my spend, I know exactly what to do it on. And if I want to track the ROI from ads, it's very obvious because there's only one campaign I need to keep track of. So now let's get into the actual campaign setup. We're doing one campaign per product / category / landing page. This is not my setup. Obviously, you guys watching are probably familiar with Charlie the Disruptor, Nick Terrio. I'm also a proponent of the one campaign setup. I do the exact same thing. CBO campaign, winners ad set has all of our best ads, completely broad targeting. We're doing all of our ads, top performers in that ad set, and then we're launching test ad sets alongside that. Very simple setup. You can do 1 to 2 test ad sets at a time, transition them into the winner's ad set, or simply just leave them on if the campaign performance is good. If they make the performance of the campaign worse, then you take them out. Very simple CBO campaign, broad ad set with your top performers, and then launching additional test ad sets as you have more creative to test. That is it. Take a screenshot, implement it into your account, whatever you need to do. The most important thing to take away from this video is probably just the scaling framework and how I actually scale inside of the accounts. So basically what I'm saying is, yes, it's really this easy. I'm tracking daily performance and I'm looking at if, as long as yesterday's new customer CPA is at target, I scale the campaign. I check if yesterday's performance is good, scale it up 20%, close my laptop, I'm done. That's literally it. If I check yesterday and it's not good, I'm going to check if the last 3 days are at target because I want to see if yesterday is a one-off bad day or if it's a sign of a larger trend. If the last 2 days are at target, I won't touch the budget and I'll close my laptop. If the last 2 days are not at target, I'll check if we're profitable. If we're profitable, I will not touch the budget. If we're not profitable, I lower the campaign budget by 20%. That is literally it. This is how a lot of people think scaling by 20% is slow. It's actually really fast if you're doing it every single freaking day. So take a screenshot of this, very simple framework. If it's doing what you want it to do, bump the budget. If it stops doing that, decrease the budget. Literally it. If it's not doing what you want it to do, test more creatives until it starts to do what you want it to do. Once it starts doing what you want it to do, just increase the volume. And you literally repeat this cyclical pattern of just scale, break the thing. Once you break it, figure out the things that are going to fix it, and then scale again. That is literally it. But as long as you can keep scaling, see so many people mess this up. They're like, oh, how many creatives should I be testing? When they're hitting their targets, they're profitable, and they can just scale. So every single day, if you can increase it, scale by 20%, 20%, 20%. And that is how you take an ad account from, oh my God, that is how you take an ad account from spending $78,000 in 1 month to over $300,000 in the very next month, completely profitably and triple their ad spend. So that is going to do it for this video. If you want to have me actually take this completely off your plate and you're a Shopify brand doing over $100,000 per month and you want me to scale your Facebook ads and triple your ad spend profitably for you, then hit the first link in the description because I've just opened up spots to work with clients one-on-one. So if you're interested in that, make sure you hit the first link in the description. But otherwise, hope you got a ton of value out of this video and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.